Hi everyone, I'm Pechstein with Move Into Action, and welcome back for the second half of your training. This is so excited because now we are going to talk about stress management. And this is the training titled Worry Less, Live More. It is all about stress management. In the meantime, as you're going through these trainings and stuff, if you need additional information or would like more information on the trainings and stuff that I offer, please feel free to head on over to moveintoaction.com. You will find all of the resources and things that you need over there, and if not, contact me and I will find it for you if you need something and don't find it right off the bat. Okay, so what is worry? Worry is worrying about, it's thinking about things. It's entertaining thoughts that may or may not have happened, may or may not ever happen. It's a sense of wonder sometimes. A lot of times it's our imaginations running wild. We can think of all kinds of possibilities and potential outcomes, things that might happen, that could happen, that just scare us to death. Sometimes they do happen. Many times they don't. And a lot of it, what you worry about, it never happens. It never occurs. So worry is based on fear. Sometimes it's fear of the unknown, fear of what we feel might happen, could happen, is a possibility at some point in our lives. And it can wreak chaos on our lives if we let it, because it comes in and it's something that then we're focused on. And instead of focusing on what's real and what's present and what I need to be putting my time and my energy and my resources into, I'm worried about something that may or may not happen, may or may not occur, and that can cause stress in our lives. What is stress? Stress is our body's reaction to a multiple type of thing, and it is health related. Stress causes health changes. It causes chemical changes in our body. It causes a response. It's our body's ability to respond to an emergency situation or something that happens with or without warning. And we can do extraordinary things when we are under stress. Stress allows certain systems of our body to shut down so others will take over. It can give us super strength, supersonic reaction times, and we can get through incredible things when that happens. It's a fight or flight response that happens. And so when our body's under stress, it is enabling us to get out of or deal with a specific situation that we perceive as dangerous, or that could cause us harm. And that's a good thing. So stress isn't automatically bad. Now, a lot of stress is good in certain amounts. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, but what do they do? What do worry and stress do? Well, the impacts of worry, it can steal our joy, our time, our energy, our focus, our productivity. It can wreak havoc in our life areas. If you're worried, are you really concentrating on what you need to? Are you present in the moment, or are you worried and concerned and just letting your thoughts be taken captive of things that maybe aren't really your reality right now, and you're missing what's really going on instead of being focused on it because you're off in la la land thinking about all the stuff that might or might not happen. What are the impacts of stress? Serious effects on health. That's what I was saying beforehand. I started to talk about that, but I was like, no, I'm going to get ahead of myself, so I waited. But it can cause physical, mental, and emotional impacts, which can affect our well-being, because we have all those different areas. You've got your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And stress can actually impact those. Now, a little bit of stress is good. It helps us deal with dangerous situations. It helps get us out of those types of things where life and death may happen. It helps us respond quickly. But chronic stress is not good. That is when we start running into problems. Okay, so what do they do? Stress and worry, they impact. Remember the snowball from life management that I talked about? They can have a snowball impact into the 9 life areas and create, again, a vicious cycle that is really difficult for us to get out of. So we need to be able to deal with stress. We really do, because stress is a part of life. So what are the keys to handling stress? We can't eliminate it, and eliminating stress would allow us to become complacent. We would not have that fight or flight response when necessary. So some stress is good because it challenges us. Some stress even grows us. Have you ever been under stress, but you've grown from it? Because the next time something's stressful, maybe you had a stressful season or an event that happened, you knew how to handle it. So it can actually challenge us and grow us, and those are good things. Stress can also motivate us, which is also a good thing. Now, where stress becomes bad, again, is when it becomes chronic, when it is a daily thing and it never goes away. Your system cannot relax because it's always fighting some stress, even if it's just stressful thoughts, you carry that around. And a lot of times stress is silent. You don't realize that you're carrying it around, but you are. So chronic stress is bad. It's that baggage. It's that stuff that just weighs us down. Now we have to know, and we need to know, how to battle stress and how to handle it. Why? Because we want to be able to react in positive ways, to eliminate it, to make it something that we can handle on a normal day-to-day basis, where we're not giving it a destructive or negative stronghold or impact in our life, because we don't want to do that. We've got to be able to make sure how we react to stress and how we handle it is a positive thing, because they're the two different things. You can have a positive reaction to stress, or you can have a really, really negative reaction to stress. You've got to be careful. So effective stress handlers, that's what we need to become. And that's what this teaching is on. This video, this coaching segment is on effective stress handlers. That's what I want you to be. All right, so the typical ways that we handle stress, let's take a look at some of them. Exercise. Some of us exercise when we get stressed out. But there are times, and myself included, now I've been smoke-free for almost 5 years. But it used to be, when I got really stressed out, I would smoke. I would just be, I gotta go. I gotta go outside. I gotta have a smoke. And so I would take a walk while having a smoke. So there was one positive and one negative. Some people go to happy hour when they're stressed out. I used to see this at conferences when I would train and teach. And this is how the happy hour workshops that I do took on their name, because I said there has to be a healthy way for us to deal with stress. There's got to be a way for us to deal with it aside from happy hour. We don't need to wait for happy hour, and we certainly don't need to drown our stress or numb it with alcohol. There are different things that we can do to deal with stress. Now, sometimes people mouth off. I know you've heard it. Somebody gets stressed out, and yeah, you can hear it. You're like, okie dokie. Sometimes people get stressed out behind the wheel. You've all seen it. They'll be driving, and all of a sudden you're seeing them, somebody flip you the bird. Well, they're stressed out, and they are showing you. They're just going to let you know. Sometimes people just get angry, and they don't hide it very well. Sometimes people deal with stress by suppressing feelings or acting like everything's just okay. I don't care. It's whatever. Sometimes people will suppress their feelings. Other ways that people deal with stress is they will avoid the people that have hurt them or caused them stress. They'll just avoid it. They don't want to deal with it, so they just avoid it. And sometimes they'll avoid situations too, because it could be situational or personal. Sometimes when people are stressed out, they hurt others, and that's where violence comes into the picture. They just react, and their react is to take revenge, or they just want to lash out. And those are very dangerous individuals, and those, if you're somebody that feels that way, there is help. Anger management, stress management, domestic violence treatment would be ideal, and definitely please seek help for that, because it could escalate and turn into something extremely dangerous, something completely unintentional, but it could have very devastating consequences. So hurting others and violence is never okay, no matter how stressed out you are. Some people will leave jobs, and they'll leave relationships when they're stressed out. Other people will eat. I've been there. I've been stressed out. I need a candy bar. So that's another way. Popping pills and substance abuse. A lot of times individuals will resort to that. Now, sometimes people are stressed out and they can't manage it. So then physician prescribed antidepressants or sedatives for help sometimes are necessary and good for people. There's therapy because that is some way for individuals that have this chronic or ongoing stress, or stress that they can't get a handle on, or it's just overwhelming them, maybe for a time period in their life, and that therapy is wonderful. Massage. People go get massages to help deal with stress and calm down. They take a long walk, a short walk. They'll laugh. Laughter is great medicine. Hobbies. You have a pet that helps you through your stressful moments. I know, my cat Friar Chunks, he's this big 20-pound tomcat. And he knows when I'm stressed because I'm Kitty. He's like, oh my goodness, get me out of here. Here she comes. She's going to hug me. And, I pick him up and I get my hug and I'll hold him, and then I put him down, and he's got to clean himself and go through this whole ritual because, humans are full of cooties and he just can't stand it. I've messed up his fur, and that stresses him out. So my stress causes my cat stress. I have to remember that. But we have pets, and so we'll take our pets for a walk, or we'll just see their fuzzy face, or sit down and just calmly pet them, and they're purring, and we feel better because of that. Some of us take vacations. Something that's becoming more and more popular these days are the mental health days. People are allowed to take so many mental health days for stressful situations or life seasons. They can take that time off from work as a sick day, even though it's more for mental reasons. They just need to relax. They need to air their head. It's a beautiful thing. Short escapes, taking a walk, going to the park, reading, playing, being active in sports. Some people work. We have the workaholics who will work because actually it is a way for them to avoid dealing with stress or stressful situations. Others will seek entertainment. They want to play video games. They want to watch TV. Why? Because it's an escape from stress. Some people resort to gossip. Somebody set them off or hurt them or upset them, and they're going to gossip about it to every person in the world on social media, in person, and otherwise. And sometimes people will deal with stress by confiding in close friends and the people that they trust. That can actually be a very healthy thing. Creating boundaries. Sometimes we deal with stress by creating boundaries. We know what situations or people cause us stress, and we're going to create healthy boundaries for our protection, so that we do not have to be put unnecessarily into those types of situations, especially if they're dangerous. Life change or change of circumstances. We all know we've been through life changes that cause stress. We've moved. We've had children. We've had to take exams. We've been, married, sometimes divorced. We've had a death in the family. Those types of life change and the change of circumstances can absolutely be stressful. And we have to deal with them accordingly. It's going to be according to what type of stress that you're facing and how you're going to deal with it in that season of life. Prayer is how some people deal with stress. That is a big one. Meditation, listening to music, taking a time out. I like that one because I wrote my book, The Think Trig Life, all about taking a time out. That was chapter 1, was me thinking about when my kids were little, when they were overloaded and overwhelmed and stressed. Put them in time out. Let's think about this, okay? Let's choose our behavior and our reactions wisely. So the key, what I want you to get from this, is how to deal with stress, anxiety, and worry in healthy ways. Now, from the list that we just went through, I know I talked about a lot. What were some of the ways in those examples that are healthy ways to deal with stress? I know as you heard them, you thought that's a healthy way. That's a healthy way. Ooh, that's a healthy thing to do. That's a healthy thing to do. And I know that you also heard some that bring concerns, because you're like, ooh, no, I don't want to do that. Ooh, no, that's not good. Oh, wow, I need to change that. We all do. We'll see things that will trigger. It's either healthy or it's not healthy. Now, which ones do you identify with, healthy and not healthy? There are certain ones that you already do that are healthy, and there are certain that you may do that are not healthy. Which ones on both sides do you identify with? Now, you don't have to share this with anyone. This is strictly for you. This is how I coach. I ask a lot of questions. Okay, so out of the ones that you're already doing and the ones that are good or not so good, which do you identify with, and which do you need to change? Which do you need to change? Do you have some that you need to add? Do you have some that you need to remove? You need to think about that and be very careful. Like I said, this is confidential and you don't have to share this with anyone. Just jot down notes, write it in code if you need to, if you're worried about somebody finding it. Speaking of that, I will tell you about this now. There is a website. It is called penzu.com, penzu.com. And if you want to keep an online journal, If you want to do your coaching there, if you want to answer personal questions or write about personal things, do it there because it's password protected. And so you can keep a journal, you can keep your notes and everything in there, keep it private, nobody else will find it. I do recommend that to my clients who don't want to write things down because they're afraid that somebody else would find it. I can identify with that. That is absolutely a legitimate concern. So don't worry about it. Do the work, do it honestly, and just go to pinzoo.com. Okay, now what about the stress that you can't eliminate? Because stress is just a part of life. It is. Now, certain amounts of stress are okay, as I said, but when it's chronic, and sometimes even the stress that comes into the picture that's temporary and we have no control, we still have to realize there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to have to deal with it. What positive habits can I create that could help me plan for stress and know how to react to it in positive and in healthy ways? The key is to know what to do and who to turn to. That is a tongue twister. Know what to do and who to turn to before something stressful sneaks up on us. Because it will sneak up on you. You know you could go out at any moment and your car not start. And now you're running late. Do you have a backup key? Do you know who you could call to get a backup key? Do you have a phone number of somebody that maybe you could call for assistance? Do you have your AAA membership information? That kind of stuff. Know what to do and who to turn to before something sneaks up. Now, this does not mean that you're going to go through every single scenario that could possibly happen to you in your lifetime. And you're going to go right now and you're going to find solutions to all of it and plan for everything in advance. No. That's not what I'm talking about. But the most common types of things that happen in your life that you recognize. For me, okay, what causes stress for me, and I know it because it's a recurring issue, my car keys. I can never find them. I set them down and they disappear. There is a black hole that sucks my car keys into it. So for me, knowing that this is a repetitive issue that I have, it was putting a key holder by the door. And I have a bench. My purse goes on the bench, my key on the key holder. And I don't deviate from that because if I do, then there could be some stressful situations that come up. Another stressful thing for me was knowing that my kids were always going to forget their house key. So a solution for me was to make sure I have a neighbor who's usually home and they have a spare now because my kids forget it. They can go ring the doorbell. I forgot my key. And they can get it from the neighbor, and then I'm not getting all these emergency phone calls, because it never fails. It's not just the one event. It usually multiplies. I'll have a kid forget the key. I'm across town. They have to go to the bathroom, and they're standing out in the driveway doing a dance. My neighbors see them, and they're like, somebody forgot a key, so they walk over and hand it to them. And so, it's just that snowball effect. That's usually how it goes. But we can plan for things like that, the recurring issues that we know usually happen. It's like, okay, I know this usually happens, so you know what? I'm going to try to come up with a solution for that. And that's how we can work to kind of eliminate it. Now, the stuff that happens that we can't control and it sneaks up for us, the best we can do is just be prepared to roll with it. Write it out, overcome it. Don't let it affect your attitude so that it affects your relationships, so that it causes havoc in your job, so that your whole day's ruined, and then everything just goes downhill. That's that snowball that's going to commit. So plan and make sure that you're using positive things to eliminate the negative things. We need to use our stress for something positive, and we can also look at the positive and negative side to it. By using positives, we can overcome negatives. We can also turn our negatives into positives. Have you ever done that? You see people that defeat all these kind of life issues and challenges and obstacles that stand in their way, and they didn't let it stress them out. No, they used it for something positive. Stress, that obstacle was their stepping stone to something greater. They didn't give up. They said, what am I going to learn from this? What can I use this for? How can this propel me into something better than what I'm at right now? So we can actually take our negative stresses and so forth and those obstacles and the things that happen that just irritate us and get under our skin. They irritate the fire out of us. We can grow from it. We can learn from it. And we can let it help us, even help others. How? Because of the experience that we've gained from it. That's a double bonus. So what we need to do is resist what will destroy and resist what will bring unwanted future consequences. Because if you ever been stressed out to a point where you made a dumb decision in your stressful moment, you reacted without thinking, you didn't have a plan in place, you didn't take a deep breath and consider, what is this action going to do? Is this really the reaction that I want right now? Do I need to take a different path? Because there could be unwanted future consequences associated with it. And once we do that, we can't take it back. That can cause even further stress for many, many, many years to come. So we need to consider that when we're dealing with stressful situations and how we choose to react, either positive or negatively. And we can also take any negative stresses, anything negative that happens to us, and turn it into something positive. Okay. So now how can we reduce our stress? If we can't eliminate it, there are ways to reduce it. Realize right away that some stressful situations are not permanent. They're temporary. Got a flat tire? It's temporary. My life long term is not going to be affected by this. Okay? So some of those is just realizing that the situation is short term. Some of the examples of short term would be public speaking. It's a short term where you're going to speak for 15 minutes, then you're done. You're going to a party where you don't know anyone. You're going to walk in, probably see a couple of people, and then maybe you do know somebody, but you're only going to be a newbie for what? Maybe just one night? Or you're going to realize that stressful situations like that are just temporary, and you can take a deep breath, and you know what? Before you know it, it's going to be done. It's like going to the dentist. I hate the dentist. I despise going to the dentist. I am like big chicken. And so that causes a lot of stress. But when you sit and you think, this is just an hour out of my life, it's temporary. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to go get it done, and I'm not going to have to worry about it. That is that short-term situation where you realize it's just a situational stress, and it's going to be over before you know it. Focus on the afterward. Focus on getting through that so that you get beyond it and see what's on the other side. No more stress. Why? Because you dealt with it. You got through it. You overcame it. All right. You get on the other side of it. So now people can be stressful too. Sometimes stress actually comes from people, and that can be short or long term. If you're stressed out by a family member, it's going to be long term because usually family is forever, as we all know. If it's a friend, sometimes it's temporary. Now, sometimes people can come in and out of your life on a short-term basis. So it depends. You can create proper boundaries and then stand firm. And what that will do is that will help you eliminate the stress from lingering, especially if it is from a long-term relationship. Creating boundaries that protect you and your family. They protect you, your time, your energy, your resources, you physically. They protect you mentally, and they protect you emotionally. You don't let people close enough where they can manipulate, where they can cross over boundaries that make you uncomfortable, where they can maintain control because they get too close. They cross over that line, and it puts them in control. You need to maintain those boundaries and stand firm. So some ways you can do that is if you're around somebody, if you have to be around somebody that really makes you uncomfortable, create a very limited time frame that you're going to be present and stick to it. That's one thing that does work, is realize you don't have to stay a long time. You don't have to stay a lifetime. You're going to show up, you're going to make your presence known, and then you're going to leave. Sometimes that works for holidays and things of that nature that I coach people through when they're like, Christina, I have to go, and this person, just reasons why. Maybe there was abuse in the background or something like that. And it makes them feel very comfortable to be in the presence of the other person. And so those are some ways that we can do it, is by creating boundaries that protects that person for a limited amount of time, gets them in and gets them out. Okay, so we have then also periods of life. We can reduce our stress from life periods. Sometimes our life periods will be either short or long term. And they'll be stressful. You'll have a stressful short term, or you'll have a stressful long term. It could be a 6-month stressful period. What I mean by this is, take for instance careers, okay? Your certified accountants, your CPAs. What do you think happens when January rolls around and it's tax season? Their careers, it's a short short-term stress. And it's related to a season in their career when things are chaotic. They got to get the stuff done. There's deadlines. They got clients. So it could be a short-term period of your life where you're stressed, where there is stress that comes in, or it could be a long-term. That could be caused from a job, an illness. Say you move. Moving can cause stress, and it depends on how long the move is and how long it takes you to get settled. A birth, that could be a stress for a 2-year period, except then you enter the terrible twos, and that's another 2-year period. So it's going to vary. There could be a death, and it depends on the mourning process, because that for each person is different. It could be short-term or long-term. You could become a victim of something. Something could happen in your life. There'd be a personal tragedy or something. And so those periods of life, it's going to depend. Some are going to be short-term and some are going to be long-term. The key is to reduce the stress. Use all the community resources available to you, whether it be stuff you do on your own, stuff you seek out in the community, whether it be professional or private services, things that you implement yourself. Use whatever it is that works for you to reduce those situational, short-term, long-term, either a situation, a person, or a period of life. Those stressful those things that come in, you can use different tools and techniques to reduce those types of stresses. The difference, I think I already covered, was the short-term. Those are the normal types of stress, and responses. That's that fight or flight syndrome where we've got to react quickly to get out of this danger. And that will usually, we'll deal with it, and then quickly everything's going to return to normal. It's going to be done. Long-term is chronic and prolonged. That's that stress that doesn't go away. It stays. You wake up with it. You wake up and you're stressed. You go to bed and you're stressed. Everything that happens and you're stressed. And sometimes it's an imbalance in the brain, or chemicals and things like that can help add to that. Sometimes it's just that our life has been so stressful, we no longer have the capacity or realize how to turn it off. We've been conditioned to live in a stressful mode all the time. It can be reversed, but some of the things that chronic long-term stress causes, health consequences, you'll have panic attacks, depression, and health issues, your blood pressure, your heart, your ability to fight off disease, your immunity, all of those things. You get headaches, and you'll just find that there are different things that could happen that affect your health when you are chronically stressed all the time. Now, how to combat it, we have to make a plan. And the key is to know what stresses you out. So I'd like you right now to grab a pen and piece of paper, and you can stop, pause the video, but I want you to think, what stresses you out? Is it things that you know about already, like kids forgetting the keys, your car keys, you're running 15 minutes late every morning, the commute is not good, maybe you should take a different route? What are some of the things that typically stress you out? Is it getting home and getting dinner prepared? Know what stresses you out already. Now, don't plan for things you can't plan for right now. That's not what I want you to do. Because if you do that, you're going to spend all of your time thinking of everything that could go wrong and trying to react to it. And it may never come up. You're worrying about things you don't need to worry about. Don't cause yourself worry. Just think about the things in your daily life that happen regularly that stress you out. And then, is it long or short term? Has it been going on a long time, or is it something that just typically, it just happened and you don't really need to worry about it? You went to a party, you were stressed out, it happened once. It's the Christmas season, it's going to be over soon. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Don't put too much emphasis on it. Now, if it's a long-term stress that seems to be chronic and it's happening all the time, that's something you may want to pay attention to. All right, so what are you currently doing to deal with it and process it? Are there things you can do to help eliminate it? To soften it a little bit, to lessen it? What are you doing to deal with and process it? What types of things are you doing? What actions are you taking? Are you taking appropriate actions? Are you using good behaviors or bad behaviors? Are you using things that are healthy for you or not so healthy for you? And what changes do you want to make? The other thing, the final thing I want you to look at when you're making your plan, when you're thinking about the types of stress in your life, what can you eliminate? Is there something that you're doing to cause stress that you really don't need to do? That would be like, you're stressed out because you're running late every morning. Well, what's your bedtime? Is it something that you're doing? You're staying up on the computer all hours of the night and you know you should be getting to bed, or you're going out and you're not getting home in time, or you don't get gas when you need to and you wait to the last minute. You procrastinate. Those types types of things can be eliminated if we change the behavior behind them. But first we need to look at what is it that's stressing us out? Is it long-term or short-term? Is it chronic or just something that happened once? What am I currently doing to deal with it? Am I processing it okay? And is it something that I can eliminate? Is there a behavior, something about me that I'm doing behind it that I can eliminate so it's no longer a stress? It will no longer occur because I can change the behavior that causes it. That is a beautiful thing. Okay, now some coaching questions. I want you also to think about this, and I want you to think about things that are in your neck of the woods that you could utilize. Some coaching questions. Where, if you need it, can you get counseling and therapy if you think that that would be something to help you? Or is it just a matter of coaching? Sometimes people don't need counseling or therapy, but they need a life coach to help guide them, to help create an action plan. Maybe it helps put that accountability in there. So it's like, okay, I made this plan with a coach. I really got to do this. I need to make those changes. So are there holistic treatments around you that you could get? Have you checked into massage and relaxation, maybe meditation, yoga? What can you do at home to help you deal with your stress? Maybe clean out all the closets. I know we do that quite often. We have a purge weekend where we get rid of clutter because the more clutter we have, the more we're stressed out. And we know that. It does affect our family a lot. So twice a year we have a purge weekend and we get rid of all the junk. So that's one of those things that we do at home that helps us the rest of the year. So what can you do at home? Could you be more organized? Would that help you? What can you do that is low cost or no cost to help eliminate stress in your life? Now, one thing I want to tell you about is an application. I love it. I have it on my phone. It is an app, and it is called the Calm app. You can also use it online on the computer. I believe is it calm.com, I believe? Anyways, it's Calm, C-A-L-M. And it is a relaxation app. It's meditation. It's nothing funky. It's just music and it's self-guided. Take deep breaths and relax. Take deep breaths, and it has the ocean or the woods or the sounds of rain. And it'll come up and say you should reduce stress for 5 minutes. And I love it because it's like, oh yeah, I should do that. Those are those low and no cost ways that we can all implement into our lives to help us deal with either chronic or temporary stress. You could be having to go and do a 5-minute speech, or you're going to walk into a party and you're sitting in your car and you're like, I'm really nervous right now, but I know this is just a temporary stress, but I'm still really upset and I feel like I'm sweating to death. Use the Calm app. Sit out there and breathe. What kind of techniques can you find? And they're all online. They're everything. Low cost, no cost. Breathing exercises. Meditation. All kinds of stuff that you could do. It's low and no cost. And most of it you can do from anywhere that you are. Make a list of those things that you have access to and know where to go before the need arises. Because then you're not stressed out about, I don't know where I'm supposed to go right now. I don't know what I should be doing. Okay, and then what is your stress management plan? Yes, you need a plan. Once you know it's available, what is it that you want to implement in your life that is healthy? What are going to be your go-to stress management applications, things that you're going to do in your life when you get stressed? So what's your stress management plan? Are you going to go for a walk? Are you going to take a time out? Are you going to go have a cup of coffee and maybe just sit and think? You're going to read? Maybe take a vacation, because a lot of people skip vacations because they're afraid of taking time off from work. They're afraid of the expense. You need to take your vacations for your stress management health. Yes, you do. Your vacations make you a much healthier and more relaxed person, and they are important not just to you, but to your family. So don't skip your vacations. Take your vacations. If you can't afford to go anywhere, take a staycation, stay at home, and do some fun things. Get your computer, look for things around, low cost, no cost. What is around you that you can do? You got bikes, you got a pool. I mean, have fun, go for it. Okay, what is it in your life that you can eliminate, that you know you can eliminate? Those things that you thought of that you're causing, that add stress to your life that doesn't need to be there. How are you going to eliminate what you can? Are there boundaries with people that you need to create in situations? Think of those, the people and situations that cause you repeated stress. And what kind of boundaries can you create that will keep you safe and healthy and emotionally stable without hurting that person? What kind of boundaries with people and situations can you create so that you are not chronically stressed out, thinking about having to be around that person or situation so that it is affecting you adversely? Okay, finally, you want to realize that with stress and stress management, you are not alone. Nobody's alone. We're not superheroes. Take your cape off and hang it up. It's okay to be stressed out. You know what? Because it is a part of life. Stay encouraged. Just know you're not alone. We're all dealing with some sort of stress. So when you see somebody stressed out and you're thinking, oh man, just remember the amount of stress that you're under at times, and don't judge that person for the stress that they're under. And also remember that if somebody's having a bad day and they're stressed out and they're taking it out on you, they're probably having a really, really bad day. So just stay encouraged. It's not you, it's just a situation, and they're not dealing with it maybe in the best way that they could. So just try to keep your cool and don't let their stress rub off on you to where you start having a bad day. Keep your head up and stay encouraged. Remember, stress affects nearly everyone, yet it is manageable. Even the stress that we don't cause, even the stress that we don't want, the stress that we don't cause, that we don't make happen in our lives, it is manageable and we can deal with it. There are ways that we can learn techniques and things that work for us. Now, what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for the next person. But the key is to be open and learn the things that work for you. Maybe working works for you, and maybe working out works for me. You know, maybe one person's going to take up boxing. Maybe the next person is just going to put headphones on and listen to music. Learn the techniques and the things that work for you and know what your go-to stress relief is and make sure it's available. All right, so life management now will help you plan and eliminate. It'll help you eliminate and plan for some of the unnecessary stress, which allows you room for normal stress. What I'm talking about here is life is stressful. And if we don't manage our time and our talents and our energies that you learned about in the stress management training correctly, you're going to have stress in your life. If your finances are out of whack, a lot of things at home are going to be out of whack. If things are out of whack at work and you're bringing stress from work home, then you're going to have stress in the home front. So that stress is transferable. You need to be careful that you are using your life management tips and techniques to help you, because that in itself is going to be one way that you can help eliminate unnecessary stress, which allows you room then for the normal stress. Because the normal stress is the emergency things that come up that we have no control over. We can't help them. They just happen and we find that we have to deal with it. So when we are well managed and we're using those life management tools and we're not overloaded, we're not burned out, we are prioritized, and we're making sure that we're living our lives in a managed way, that we are on top of our priorities and we're not overloaded, we're going to be able to then handle a lot of that normal unexpected stress when it happens, and we're going to do okay with it. We're not going to be like, I'm at my breaking point already and now this just adds to it. We're going to be able to deal with it in better ways. Okay, you can also be healthy emotionally, physically, and mentally, because that is so important. A lot of people think our health is just related to our physical status. And it's not. It is tied to emotional, it is tied to our mental, and even our spiritual. So there is a lot that comes into play with our stress management and being able to handle those things that come our way. Once we have identified our stress management plan and we have our life management tools and techniques in place, and we know what our priorities are, and we can work to actively eliminate burnout and fatigue in our lives, and we rest ourselves and we don't take on more than we should, and we stay focused, and we're working on our health, on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and we are approaching stress in our lives in a healthy way and trying to eliminate the negative behaviors, but also work to eliminate when we cause stress. Is if I'm not willing to put my keys where they're supposed to go, then when I'm late and I'm stressed out because of that, I have nobody to blame but me. And when we become accountable for that stuff, but we make those changes, we find that our lives shift. And then things just happen to be much better. We're not carrying a lot of that baggage. We find we have less weight that we're dealing with. We're able to cope and deal with stress as it comes. We roll with the punches. We make changes quickly. We get back on track. We're not falling apart. We're strong people, man. And that's what makes the biggest change. Is you're going, wow, you know what? A year ago, I would have lost it, but no, I just went through that and I sailed right through it. It was hard, but I did it. I'm stronger now. And you start to see that these little steps, these little changes, all of these skills combined will make you a strong, resilient overcomer. And that's what's important. I hope that this training has done as much for you as it has for the others that have sat through the live coaching and training. If you have any questions or would like additional resources, I hope that you'll go to my website. It's moveintoaction.com. You can also find me on Facebook under Move Into Action, Christine Pechstein. And of course, I'm on Twitter as Coach Christine. But I have all kinds of life management tips. And I have a Gift of Gab radio talk show every Monday where we talk about all sorts of life issues and how to get through them and how to become better. It's all about self-improvement in little ways, doing little things every single week that make a difference in our lives. So I hope that you will seek those out in addition to your training that you got here today. If you have any questions or comments or you'd like to leave a testimonial, please do so at my website. I'm Christine and I will see you. Thank you for joining me.